This is Deborah Weaver, and today we're going to be doing some points of measure lines. We're going to start with a ladies basic button front blouse here, and we're going to make the layers. So the first thing you want to do is you had your background layer with all your pictures on it. So we're going to get rid of all of those pictures, and then we're going to start a new layer with the reference information. We have to have a center front reference and high point shoulder reference that goes across the high point shoulder. And then we're going to have a center front reference at the bottom as well. So the number 1, which is the center front HPS length, goes from this HPS reference line down to the center front edge, which is here. So that line doesn't stop right at the hem fold or that shirt tail shape. It comes right down to the center front. So we're going to need that one down there. And we're going to need it at the back. We're not going to need the center back bit, but we are going to need the HPS and the back hem information. So we go ahead and make that a reference layer. And then we're going to start with our lines. And here's the number 1. So you want to have your specs page printed out so that you can see all of the POM information that's here and the numbers that you're going to need to add to the lines. But here's where all of the POM reference information is, as well as the description of where it is on the garment. So you're going to have that printed out in front of you, and then we are going to just start with number 1. So number 1 is the front HPS point at center front. So it's coming all the way down to here, as I was already calling that out. We want to make sure that you're starting with your, what happened to our stroke? Our stroke disappeared, so let's go ahead and find, oh, here it is. That our stroke is a 1 point. Well, our line's already there. So it is a 1 point, and we have some arrows. And here's where you select the arrows here. Sometimes you're going to have to select smaller arrows, and this is where you'll find it. So there's number 1. I'm going to go ahead and just put the lines and add the numbers after. So here's my number 2. You want to make sure that that's going to come down to that point here, which is the center back reference. So just a nudge down so that it's right on that center back reference information, and the front one's there. So here's number 2 is our side seam. So to get our side, we're just going to go ahead and unlock the sketch, click on the 2 aspects of that part that I need, bring it back up to my layer, lock it again down here, hit Control F. It's going to put it right in the same spot on top of it. I can zoom in on and go ahead and add the red information and then put the arrows on it. Here's the standard arrow size, which should be fine for the side seam position here. When it does this, it means the 2 lines are not joined, so just hit Command J to join it and it disappears. So that is number 2. Number 3 is at the back. We already put that one there. Number 4 is the neck width, which should be here at the back. So we're going to go ahead and bring this information up. It's going from that HPS position there to the HPS position on the other side. And just so this one's more visible, I'm going to go ahead and take that down to a 0.75. I don't want to have it too confusing up here. If it's big, it shows better with that blue dash line when it's smaller. So that is number 4. Number 5 is in a call-out section, so we're going to skip that when we get to the call-outs over here. These are where all the call-outs are. Number 6 is the center front neck drop. That one is here, so I'm going to go ahead and grab and copy this line over, because that one is also should be a little bit smaller, the center front neck drop, which goes from the HPS reference line here all the way down to the collar stand joined to the center front placket. So there's the front. The back is very small. It's back here. So here's the back neck drop, which goes from, again, the back HPS reference information to the join there. We can see that the arrows don't work now. So we can try to see if we can get it to the smaller arrow here, if it's still visible, and if not, we're going to have to remove the arrows entirely. So we will zoom in on it and see that if we have it in the correct position, which is, it's not right now, this has to come up, it goes back to not being very visible. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of those points entirely. And let's increase the size of the line so that it's more visible. Make it a 1. Okay, so there's our back neck drop. That's number 7. We'll probably have to put a reference smaller line going to it. And then now we have, let's skip over the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, because those are all collar information that's going to be back here on this collar sketch. And then we'll come back and start over here with, again, back to number 14, which is the across shoulder. So number 14, the across shoulder, is another straight line that's going to go from that shoulder over to this shoulder. There's our across shoulder, number 14. Number 15 is the shoulder slope, which is from the HPS line down to this top corner here of the sleeve. That's the shoulder slope. And then we have a shoulder seam forward at the neckline and at the armhole, which we're going to do on this side of the sketch. I went ahead and adjusted this sketch already to have it be with the collar up so that we can clearly see the true HPS point, which is right here and right here. So here's the collar, here's the shoulder forward seam at the neckline, and then we have it again at the armhole. The armhole runs over here. Oh, I didn't copy and paste that line, just deleted it. Okay, so here's that one. This one's probably big enough to put the smaller arrows on, so let's go ahead and add the smaller arrows. So we're clearly showing from point to point, and it's always best to do everything here with arrows. So I'm going to put that down at the seam there, and there is number 17. So this is 16, that one's 17. Put that one into position. And then now we have across chest, which is 5.5 inches down the HPS position, and usually it lands about in the middle of this armhole here. You're going to have to measure it when you take the actual measurement, and you can just eyeball it in this aspect where you're showing them 5.5 inches down across the chest is there. And then we have across the back, in the same position in the back. So let's just go ahead and mirror that over 0, hold down the Alt key, enter, and we want to copy it over to the other side. Okay, well, it didn't do it, so let's go ahead and just grab it and take it over there. Approximate same position. We can see we're a little bit wider at the back sketch here, so let's go ahead and make sure that the arrows are going to reach the actual seams right here. Okay, so that's the across back, and then now we're going to go to the bust, which is 1 inch below the armhole. It's going to look like this. And then we go from the bust to the waist, which we can see clearly here at this point where the waist indents and curves in. The sweep can be done a couple of different ways. Most of the time it's a straight measure. When you have shirt tails, though, often they will put curved information in there so that they're getting the shape of the curve what they want. I can see when I'm zooming in here that my lines aren't precise, so I better make sure that they're reaching the actual seam or fold, which this is the fold here. Otherwise they're not correct. Technical design means accuracy, so you just want to be very precise. So there's my sweep straight. The other reference point is going to be the sweep curve. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the front lines there, Control C, lock them again. Come back to the layer that I'm working on here. Control F is going to put it right in that same position. I'm going to drop it down slightly. I'm going to join it because I already know when it's not joined it's going to add that extra arrow. Go ahead and grab my line size that's already everywhere else. And I'm going to leave the arrows off of this because it's going to get too messy over there. So there's the front. Let's see if we can grab it and if it's close enough shape as the back. Move it over to the back so we have the same curve measure on the back, and you can see it wasn't joined after all. Had I added the arrows on it, we would have had those extra little arrows. So there is the back along the curve. We can see over here it's a little bit shy of the folded edge, so let's move it up. Okay, so there's the back hem along the curve. Sorry, the back sweep. Then we have the finished hem height. Again, let's zoom in. That's just going to be a very small line. Put that right about here. This one probably won't be able to have arrows on it because it won't show. So there's our hem finished height. We can come over here to the armhole, and the first measurement is the armhole straight. So that's going to look like this, where it goes from this top corner down to the underarm seam there. And then we would need the front and the back armholes curved. So let's go ahead and take the lock back off, grab that line there with our A tool, Control C, lock it. Come back up to our layer, Control F. Go ahead and eyedrop onto the color and the size of the line that we want there. And let's go ahead and zoom in because we need to get these arrows precise on this one. And being that we have a lot of arrows, we would go ahead and make these probably the smaller arrows probably look better here. So let's come down to the smaller arrows. Okay, it's not being done. It wasn't on the line actually, so now I have the line active, and there's my small arrows. So let's go ahead and make sure that they're where they're supposed to be, which is at the end of this right here, and then at the top shoulder. Looks good. So that is the front armhole along the curve, and the back, let's move this up just slightly so that we can see that other arrow better. And then we come to the back. So again, on the back, to get the armhole curve, we need to unlock that layer where it is on the sketch. Control C, lock it again, back to the layer we're at, Control F, move it out slightly, eyedrop on the color of the line that we need. And on this, because there's not a lot back here, we can go ahead and just use the normal arrow sizes we've been using on everything else. And just go in and make sure that they're in the positions that they need to be in, because it's stopping here and it's going to the top of the armhole there. Okay, so there's our front and armholes curved. We have our sleeve length, which is over here. When you read the description on the sleeve length, it's going from the top of the armhole seam down to the cuff seam here. I just want to make sure that it's at the cuff seam. And then we have the underarm, or rather the sleeve inseam, which is going from truly up here, but being that this is where we're drawing the bottom of the sleeves on the sketch, we're just going to place it from here. When you take the actual measure, it has to be from the underarm join to the sleeve, which is right up there. Okay, so there's our sleeve inseam height. And then now we're at the bicep. The bicep is here. We're going to do that one on this side. It's 1 inch below the armhole, and it is always perpendicular to the outer folded edge because that's the grain line of the sleeve right there. So let's make sure we're just touching our other edge there. So that one is the bicep. And then we need the elbow, which is 7 inches below the armhole on a standard ladies blouse POM callouts. So we just want to eyeball it and make it look like it's in the middle, approximate middle position of the sleeve. Okay, and then we have a forearm POM. We're going to go ahead and just duplicate that down, and that would be about here. In the callouts, it's 11 inches below the armhole. We can zoom in to make sure that it's on the edge in a minute. And then we need the sleeve opening at the opening edge, which is down here. Just go ahead and put it right on our sleeve opening and come in and just perfect all these. Make sure that they're precise, that they're going from edge to edge, from the folded edge, which is exactly how it's going to be measured. And that's the whole point of this, is to show the factories that you're measuring it like this. Most of these are standard, they already know, but you still have to show them. So the next POM 35 is on the full cuff height and the sleeve placket height. That's in the call out sections. The next thing we can do on the outer sketches here is the wearer's right center front placket width and height, which is 39 and 40. So let's go ahead and move that back to our front sketch. So we need 39, which is down here. We can put it down here a little bit out of the way. 39. And then number 40 is going to be right coming directly from the join of the collar stand seam to the front body placket down to the hem edge. So I'm going to put it aside the center front line so the center front line is still visible. So that is our wearer's right front pocket width and length. Then on the where it's left, that's going to be at a call out. Then we have the chest pocket placement. So when you have chest pocket placement POMs, what they want to know is the whole pocket together. So we're going to come from the HPS reference line, which is where it is, to the top of our pocket, which in this reference is including the flap. So we're going to go from the HPS, which is right here, down to the pocket when we take the measurement. But in this POM placement, we can put it here because it's still showing it's coming from the HPS reference. The other pocket reference for the placement is at the center front. So that one is from here to that center front reference line. It's right there. Okay. Then the next thing that we can do here is the pocket flap information, which the pocket flap information is going to go, one of them is going to be the height at the middle, and the other one's going to be the width across the top edge. So here's the width across the top edge, and here is the height from the right down to the point here. Okay. And then we have button separation. So when you go to do the button separation, you ideally want to just start with a rectangular shape. And then go ahead and zoom in to make sure that you're going from center to center, because that's the call out. It has to be from the middle of the button to the middle of the button, which is right there. And then I'm going to get rid of this part right here and add my arrows. I'm going to go ahead and use those smaller arrows so that it doesn't look too messy in the end. Okay, and that is our button separation. I'm going to go ahead and just add the numbers that I had already placed. And we can see here that these are all the numbers that match to the POMs that are here. Just move them around slightly. You always want to make sure that everything is very clear and that there's no numbers that can be mistaken for others. So if I had this right here, it could be mistaken for the cross. So I want to make sure that it's enough out of the way. It looks like in my example, when I moved that over, I lost it on the other side, so let me put that one back. And then I can just go ahead and show you what the callouts look out in the end over here on the page. So here's all of these POMs, neck opening. When you have small little numbers, sometimes it's important to add these little tiny 0.25 stroke pointing out that, look, that's my neck opening and there's my back neck drop. It just, on those small reference information, it just makes it easier to see that, look, this in fact is pointing to that line, and here's my openings there. I'm going to add one more here so that this one is a little more obvious. There's 16. And then there you have it. You can see that we are, again, adjusted the sketch there. And here are all of these call-out POMs. Here. So you had the collar point spread, you had the where's left, center front pocket, all the cuff information, including the sleeve pocket, the patch pocket height and width across the top, and all the collar stand and collar information. Again, you'll see that on all